So I've gotten this question a lot since I posted my last video, so let's get into it. Eol, also known as the Dark Elf, was a Sindar elf in the First Age. He was kin to King Thingol and father of Maeglin. Maeglin? However you want to pronounce it, I'm pronouncing it Maeglin. He dwelt in the forest of Nan Elmoth, just outside of Doriath. Why was he called the Dark Elf? Because he preferred the darkness to the light. Choosing to dwell in the darkness, it said that he loved the night and twilight under the stars. It's even said that his eyes could see into shadows and dark places. He grew to have a great friendship with the dwarves of Nargrond and Belagost. And from that friendship, he learned the skill of metalwork, becoming a great craftsman just behind Feanor and Celebrimbor. He created a metal called Galvron, which is jet black, as hard as dwarven steel, yet is light and thin to wear. From that metal, he forged a suit of armor that he wore just about every time he left home. With his craft, he also forged 2 swords from a fallen meteorite. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the names of the swords, but this is them. This one he gave to King Thingol as payment for being able to live in Nan Elmoth, which would later be wielded by Beleg, and then later wielded by Turin Turambar. Now he sounds okay so far, right? Nothing too bad. Well, I'm here to ruin the party for you. Cops called and everything. Here's where the big issues start. In 316 of the First Age, Eol laid eyes on the beautiful Eredthel, the sister of Turgon, the king of Gondolin. She had been separated from the people she was traveling with, and Eol used enchantments to lure her deep into the forest of Nan Elmoth. Only after she was lost and weary, Eol revealed himself to her, welcomed her into his home, and then took her as a wife. In the book, it says that Eredthel was not wholly unwilling to this. And if you know anything as to how Tolkien elves achieve becoming man and wife, you understand the big reason as to why we don't like Eol. Cudufin, one of the sons of Feanor, even takes offense to the association of kin by marriage to Eol, basically saying, Eredthel's marriage was forced, you ain't no kin to me. Cudufin even basically told Eol, like, listen buddy, you lucky for the laws of the Eldar because that's the only thing stopping me from making you an obituary headline. Another reason we don't like Eol is because he forbade Eredthel from seeking her family. The Eredthel was also known as the White Lady of the Noldor. And who does Eol hate? The Noldor. Which honestly, it makes it a little bit more fucked up when you think about how Eol took Eredthel as a wife. He hated the Noldor because he wholeheartedly blamed them for the return of Morgoth. Along with also not being able to seek her family, he also demanded that she shun the light. Homie was all kinds of controlling. Red flags everywhere. Regardless of all this, in 320, Eredthel gave Eol a son. In the book, it said that in her heart, she named the boy Lomion. Lomion? However you want to pronounce it. Now, she couldn't formally name him this because it was in the familial tongue of the Noldor. It wasn't until 12 years later that Eol gave the boy the name of Maeglin. Now, while Eol took Maeglin on many a father and son trips to dwarven cities, Maeglin loved his mother more. And when Maeglin expressed desires to meet his mother's kin, Eol got pissed, getting all uppity like, boy, you of my house, you ain't gonna be fraternizing with no kinslayers. If I find out you disobey me, I'm gonna put you in bonds so that way you can't go anywhere ever again. And then after that fun little spat, Eol never took Maeglin outside Eredlindon ever again. So he's not only controlling his wife, he's controlling their son too. But sucks to suck for Eol, right? While he was away at a midsummer's feast in Nargrond, Eredthel and Maeglin bolted. They jumped ship. But Eol, being the paranoid little man he was, had a gut feeling that something was happening. So he booked it back home early, only to find out that Eredthel and Maeglin had left 2 days prior. Small man got big mad and rushed to catch up with them. Unbeknownst to Eredthel and Maeglin, he eventually did, and tried to follow them into the city of Gondolin. Then he was caught and brought before the king. Even with Eol being such a fucking hater, Turgon still welcomed him with open arms and called him kinsman. But Eol was like, nah, I ain't interested. I'm just here for my son. You can keep Eredthel because she's just as much your sister as she is my wife, but the boy and I are leaving. Turgon was like, well, that's not how it works, buddy. The whole point of having a hidden city is that it stays hidden. So you can either stay in Gondolin or you die in Gondolin. Like, Turgon's #1 rule is if you find your way to Gondolin, you stay in Gondolin. Like, you're not leaving. He didn't want to risk the path to Gondolin being revealed. And note that the choice to stay in Gondolin or die in Gondolin was offered to both Eol and Maeglin. Because even though Maeglin was Eredthel's son and nephew to King Turgon, he was just as much a stranger to Gondolin as Eol was. He wasn't from there as Eredthel was. Now Eol, being the prideful little twat that he was, took it upon himself to make that decision for himself and Maeglin, throwing a poison dagger at his son. And of course, as all mothers do, Edithel went into that mama bear mode, protected her son by stepping in front of that dagger and taking it to the shoulder. At the time, they didn't know the dagger was poisoned, so they were just thinking like, 'tis but a flesh wound, it'll be a quick heal, right? No, she died that night. Upon hearing of Edithel's death, Turgon had no mercy for Eol, and he had Eol cast over the cliff of Cadagdur to his death. But not before Eol cursed his own son to a life of failure and a shared fate, all because of his own hatred and pride. That, boys and girls, is why we don't like Eol.